Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Jason Mulgard. I'm one of the co-chairs, and Scott is on as well, and he'll speak in just a few minutes. So on our first slide, we're talking about some of our accomplishments, and one of the things we're most proud of is that we finally released the 1.0 architectural and programming model for computational storage. We had done some intermediate releases soliciting feedback from folks previously, but this is the first official release, and we're obviously quite pleased with that. In conjunction with that, we went ahead and did another release of the API. This is the 0.8, so we're soliciting input and feedback on 0.8, and certainly would be welcome to take a look at that and let us know if there's any suggestions or comments or whatever. But we're certainly wanting to drive towards the 1.0. We're not quite there yet. We have a little bit more work to do, but nonetheless, we are making good progress on that. So we did do some additional work with the Computational Storage SIG in CMSI this past year in terms of content creation for FMS, SDC, the PMCS, and the Security Summit as well. So those were all great accomplishments. And we're continuing to collaborate. As Shyam mentioned, we worked with the SDXI TWG on kind of a joint subgroup looking at ways that SDXI could potentially be used in computational storage. And drew some nice diagrams for that. We need to get that reinvigorated here again at the beginning of the year. Interest kind of waned at the end of the year as typical. In addition to that, we did quite a bit of collaboration with NVMe, trying to make sure that our API especially is going to be compatible with the computational programs work that they're developing over there. So we want to try to make sure that it's usable with the protocols that are going to actually implement computational storage. There's a link to our charter at the bottom of the slide if you want to read any more about any of the work that we are planning to work on. So kind of looking forward as to what we're going to do next. I mentioned we got that 1.0 out, which was great, but we're already working on a 1.1. So we've done some work on security in collaboration with the security TWG that Eric mentioned, and we're very grateful for their support in that and their continued support moving forward. So a lot of great security enhancements will go into that 1.1. We're looking at chaining of commands and how can you do a sequence of operations effectively in the computational storage device, and then maybe some additional use models to go into the document to help spark people's interest. So on the API, we want to drive to that 1.0 and get the 1.0 out there. We've got a lot of work planned. In order to do that, we've got a list of tasks, and we're going to try to work through as many of them as we can with the upcoming face-to-face that's next week. We probably won't get through all of them, but certainly do what we can, but at the same time stay in line with everything that's happening over in NVMe so that our API is compatible. Continued work through the computational storage SIG, certainly webinars, blogs, and articles, participating in the PMCS Summit, FMS, SDC, and then especially this TCO model that they want to work on over in the SIG to help show the value of computational storage, and whatever support that the TWG can provide that, we will certainly do that. From a group collaboration, we, as mentioned, already want to do some more work with SDXI, see where we can take it, and get more folks engaged in that collaboration. And then certainly anything that comes up related to security, we'll continue those collaborations. That's been an extremely, useful model, and very much appreciated, as I mentioned. And then externally, we'll stay aligned with NVMe to the best we can on the API. And then over in OCP, they've started a computational storage workstream. And so we want to make sure that they're using our API and anything else. All right, I'll turn it over to Scott.
How's it going, everyone? I just wanted to do our traditional logo chart. I love doing the NASCAR slides because it's just a lot of fun. We've had some shift around with some companies getting acquired and changing ownerships, if you will. So the slide has changed a bit from last year, but again, still very strong in the number of organizations and individual members that are participating in the group. And again, one of the things we like to call out here is we're starting to see more focus on non-vendors and more consumers and even end customers as part of this particular work stream and work group and effort that's going on inside computational storage. So if you want to see your logo on this chart, let me know. As far as we're looking forward, we have a point where we're able to start looking at what's next in a slightly different way. So we want to encourage the continued development of the space. You can see on the right, we have the Gartner hype cycle. We entered the hype cycle right before the quote peak of inflated expectations, but you can see we're well ahead of certain other things that are still going and on the heels, if you will, of several things that have already been done within SNIA. So it's a great opportunity to drive it to the next level. And we're seeing the industry and the market being more attached. And of course, as I start to talk, my voice goes away. When it comes to the infrastructures, we are seeing that the concept of the XPU, which is a task force now, an effort being driven within SNIA, is shown here as well. As Gartner calls it, the FACs. They'll probably work on that as SNIA help drive that forward. So we're continuing to see a lot of work being done in computational storage and customers, market segments, direction. The compute is no longer in the CPU. It is elsewhere in the infrastructure, and we continue to help drive that with the concept of computational storage. So if you want to be a member of the team that helps continue to drive this over the hump and into productivity, we'll take your assistance. The email to contact the chairs is here on this particular slide. And as we look to move into 2023, I am going to be stepping down as the chair of the Computational Storage TWG. Jason will continue leading it, and Bill Martin has stepped up to take on the co-chair responsibilities for this TWG as of the announcements yesterday. So we're excited about what can come next. I'm shifting gears. As many people on this call, if you have any knowledge of who I am, I tend to do too much talking and enough technical work. And the TWG is definitely on the technical path now. So I'm handing the reins over there, and I'll be jumping over to the F&I side of things and helping drive the CS SIG in collaboration with the TWG.